The 16 days of gender activism against gender-based violence, where the world campaigns to challenge violence against women and girls. This as women in the country, especially those from the informal settlements, continue to suffer in the hands of abusers. Lavina Tieno reports.
Peace, laughter and normalcy welcomes you to a place that has become a source of hope to victims of gender-based violence in the area, but underneath the smiles are sad tales of sheer violence. The scars, tears and broken jaws on women living in this informal settlement is a clear indication of a monstrosity that has taken root in slums. Mary, not her real name, is a victim of gender-based violence. She was divorced 10 years ago but remarried again with hope that the grass will be greener on the other side. But to her surprise, the happy ever after she hoped for sadly became hell.
Yenye napitia ni ngumu. Juu akinikuta mahali nikiwa na watu kama tumekaa, yeye unifuruta hadi kia nguvu.
A broken lower jaw permanently engraved on her mouth, a clear reminder of one fateful evening that she swears never to forget. Like many other women stuck in marriages with their violent partners, Mary hangs on to the thought that her husband will transform with time. The marriage turned abusive.
Sai anakujanga na nitusi, ananiambia atatupiga hadi hiyo msichana wangu.
She has been forced to move from estate to estate just to escape the abuse and violence she experienced every single day, with some of her neighbors closing the doors that were once open for her.
Mahali kwingine naendanga nafukusa nguo juu yake. Juu lazima akuja tusiane. Sana kujanga wananiambiaga tufugie mapema, anakuja na nitusi lakini mwenye ajuagi ati hiyo ile.
Completely hurt by the continuous violence, Mary tried to seek help from the area chair lady, whom tried to intervene by holding talks with Mary's husband, but he remained adamant and was later advised to report the case to the local police station.
Sasa mimi nikaenda kwa chair lady wa kijiji, nikamwelezea, nikaenda kwa akaniambia niende post niandikishe. Nilienda nikaandikisha na hakuna kitu alifanywa yoyote.
Her efforts were all in vain, with the police at the station sweeping the matter under the carpet.
Kuambia ule askari nilikuwa kwa nini kwa ombi, aliniuliza kwani wewe ni mtoto unataka kusema ati alikufuta kia nguvu.
She then opted to go back home as the officers ignored her case. And it was until things escalated that the local authorities decided to take action, but it was not long until the perpetrator was released.
Amelala kwa kiti na mimi nimelala kwa kitanda, akaanza matusi tena. Alienda kamwangusha, akapiga huyo msichana kamwangusha, akamkanyanga hadi kwa mgongo. Tukaenda post. Kwenda post alishikwa, alafu kushikwa alimaliza siku 2. Akaachiliwa.
Her nightmare still continues as her husband still abuses her up to date.
Nifaa mimi kenye naogopa ni juu yake ajua, hata sasa ajue atanikuta, atakuja tu aanze matusi hadi kunipiga mbule. Juu yeye aja yake si ati nilipi nyumba. Alafu aende post atoe ngiri 10.
The situation is not different for 24-year-old Helen Nyambura, who also got married with things all rosy at the honeymoon phase of the marriage. It was until her husband was offered a job transfer to work in Kitale for 2 years that things started going sour.
So akakaa for almost 2 years. Akakuja home. Sasa kumbe venye alikuwa Kitale angekaa hivyo, so alitafuta bibi na kapata mtoi huko, lakini mimi sijui, lakini shushu yake anajua, lakini hezi niambia.
However, later she reunited with her husband and became pregnant, a pregnancy that she had no idea will change her life completely. After she gave birth, Helen and her husband relocated to Juja, and this is where things began to fall apart. Her husband would beat her every single night.
Sasa vile kuna jua kumbe maisha nilienda kunigeukia kabisa. Nilikuwa mpaka nakaa nachapwa. Hadi hapa nakuwa na alama. Sijui kama unaweza iona kuna alama nakuwa hapa.
One day, her husband locked her and their children out of their house just to spend time with his friends.
Alikujanga na marafiki zake, wakanitoanga nje na watoto wangu, au wakaingia ndani. Sasa pia bwana yangu akona mtu kwa nyumba na mimi sijui, mimi nimerushiwa nje. ati wewe siku hizi umemea pembe, wewe kwani unanijibu? Tukaanza kupigana hapo.
She had nowhere else to go, so she decided to endure the abuse for the sake of her children.
Nimeishi na maisha ya kuenda na kurudi, sijui sina otherwise.
Helen decided enough was enough when her husband poured kerosene on her and locked her and the children inside their home with the intention of burning them alive.
So akanimogenga mafuta. Akasema nataka tuchomeke huku ndani na watoto wangu na yako nje.
She fled from her matrimonial home to start anew with her children in Kiamaiko, but picking up the pieces was not as easy as she hoped it would be.
Juu umekuja unakaa kwa mtu anapia wewe umemletea mzigo. Kwanza niko na watoto wawili.
According to statistics given by the founder of Shine a Light, Georgina Kawira, at least 4 cases of gender-based violence are reported to her weekly.
Let's say a weekly basis, you wouldn't miss like up to 4 cases.
But in her pursuit for justice for these victims, she encounters hurdles, with the main one being negligence by the gender-based violence desk at the police station.
They don't take cases seriously. At times, if it's a rape case, at times you'll be told you're willing. At times a girl will be told ulijipeleka. At times you'll be told ulikuwa umevaa aje.
This act of negligence has made perpetrators to believe that they can always get away with cases of gender-based violence, with the notion that no action will be taken.
And that perpetrators are getting, they know even if you go to the police station, maybe sometimes they'll go and give out something.
Most of these perpetrators are breadwinners in their families, forcing victims to endure abusive marriages.
If you get out of this marriage, then that means you'll sleep hungry.
Sometimes the cases she receives, in her own words, overwhelming, forcing her to refer them to higher authorities, but most of the victims are scared to pursue justice because of the stigma surrounding gender-based violence.
And you're like, oh God, I want this person taken to court. I want this person to face justice. But not this person and ataishaje kwa society.
Besides the unwillingness from the victims, lack of funds has also proven to be a challenge for her organization, as she tries to help curb the gender-based violence menace in the informal settlement.
Survivor is beaten, or something has happened, and I'm in my house. It's a small house. I don't have somewhere I can take like an immediate rescue place. I can keep this person before now the case, you start up the case from the police station. So you find that if I bring them here in my office, then that means I'll have to feed them. I'll have like the space, this office has to be very secure.
As the world starts to mark 16 days of activism against gender-based violence, this menace still remains rife in Nairobi's second most largest slums, with those bestowed with the power to help these gender-based violence victims negligent of these cases, with these victims left with nowhere else to go to seek justice but remain quiet and persevere in their abusive marriages. Lavin Atieno, TV 47.